Good to see you. It's 11 o'clock our time, so good morning to some of us and whoever else around the country. My name's Mary Payne. I'm leading the Research Support Corps for our newly funded Resource Center for Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research. Thanks for joining us, and we're going to be talking about our recently released seed funding announcement for this center. I presume you can all hear me okay? Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, so the highs and lows of cannabis research, which I'm sure you're all aware of, is that the good things about it is that we know that cannabis has a lot of phytoconstituents and in cannabinoids that have a range of pharmacologic actions, and it's actually some of them are now drugs that are approved. So it's of course caught the attention of a lot of healthcare providers and the public about the beneficial aspects of cannabis products. But as researchers, we know that there's a lot of barriers to overcome despite the widespread availability and established pharmacological activity. And because of these barriers to conducting the research projects for a lot of researchers, that leads into insufficient data on a number of things, including basic mechanisms, safety, abuse potential, and even efficacy of cannabinoids and other constituents. So I would call those the lows of cannabis research. And what are some of these barriers that we run into? I know a lot of you have run into is just like logistical considerations, just security infrastructure to store the materials, acquire the materials, store and monitor and dispose of them properly. That there's costs associated with that. There can be costs associated with investigational new drug application development, DEA registration requirements, and other documents. As I mentioned, the cost of the cannabis materials themselves, and sometimes developing tools or outcome measures for development and validation, determining standardized common data elements or surveys. And then, of course, it takes people to execute these activities. And so some barriers is you need some money to cover the support personnel to assist in these activities. So in response to these, and there's many other barriers to conducting research. So NIH heard this, they sent out a request for information back in 2022 to gather more information from investigators. Really, what are some of these barriers? What are additional barriers that they're encountering? And then put out a RFA, a request for applications to develop this center of which we have now. And it's a trans NIH Institute partnership, so it's National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, along with 3 partners, National Cancer Institute, the National Institute on Aging, and the National Institute on Drug Abuse. So the funding opportunity announcement was released in 2024, and we were the lucky group to have been awarded this center grant. And we received it in April of this year. So we're about 6 months into this center. The structure of the R3CR, as that we affectionately call it, is Dr. Ikhlas Khan at University of Mississippi. He's the overall PI of the whole entire center. The center is composed of 3 cores. I talked about myself. We compose the Research Support Corps, and I'm happy to mention that my compadres Dina Hadi and Rebecca Cooney are both on the panel discussion today. We have the Research Standards Corps led by Dr. Nandu Sarma at the USP Pharmacopoeia, and he's leading that effort along with Dr. Amy Cadwaller and Macy Ma. And then we have the Regulatory Guidance Corps, which is led by Dr. Mahmoud El Soli at the University of Mississippi, along with Drs. Robert Welch and Donald Stanford. And Don, I see you're on the call today. Thank you for joining. The goal of the center is really to help investigators such as yourselves overcome these barriers. And as I say earlier, by overcoming these barriers, we're hoping to generate more rigorous scientific evidence across a variety of research domains. So we're talking about basic research and clinical research. And again, listing all of our funding partners. So now to the gist of this webinar, the seed funding. So to help you overcome these barriers, we're talking about regulatory and logistical barriers. We're not talking about research, or that is hypothesis-driven research. So helping you overcome these logistical regulatory barriers to facilitate your advancement of your research. So they're helping you overcome these barriers to then move on to, we're hoping for additional NIH funding or other types of funding to help you do your experimental or your hypothesis-driven research. And the awards will be made in part based on the needs or the interest of our funding partners. So how much are these? We will be awarding up to 8 awards per year. So beginning in year 2, so that'll be beginning in March, April of 2026. So they will each be 50,000 total costs. So we're talking direct costs plus indirect costs. So 50,000 total costs per year. This is regardless of the number of awards that we are issued. We will, as I mentioned, issue a maximum of 8 awards. But say if we issue 6 awards, we're still going to be awarding only $50,000 total cost. And the funds must be spent by the end of the proposed timeline. So here are the major guidelines of the whole process. Here's some examples of some of these eligible activities. It's just exactly some of those logistical and regulatory barriers that I mentioned earlier. So you might need to buy a safe to store the material, as well as whether there are costs associated with acquiring the material, monitoring the material, such as temperature, things like that, and how to properly dispose of the material. And all institutions have their own guidelines on how to do that. That costs some money. It costs money to develop IND applications, DEA registration, and other required documents. There's cost associated with that. Cost itself of acquiring the materials or the products, and developing surveys, and then of course paying people to help you with all of these activities as well within the confines of the seed funding. And then I said earlier, the activities and the funds must be spent by the proposed timeline that you all decide how quickly you can complete these activities. So an eligible organization, they can submit multiple applications as long as they're distinct from each other, both scientifically and administratively independent. Unfortunately, we are unable to consider foreign organizations due to regulatory challenges that we are experiencing right now. I've already said this like at least twice before. Funds must be spent by the end of your proposed timeline, and anybody that's an applicant will not be able to serve as a reviewer of the applications. What about the application process? It is a 2-step process. So the first step is to submit a letter of intent by the end of the month. That'll be 5 p.m. local time. So irrespective of time zones, just so it's 5 p.m. your time. And very simple letter of intent. We just want to know your name and your title, the company or institution that you're from, and a short description of your intended use of funds so that we can ensure that you will be using the money for non-research, that is non-hypothesis driven research. So that's step 1. And then step 2 is to submit your full application by December 8th by 5 p.m. local time. It's the standard package, a standard PHS 398 face page, a detailed budget and budget justification, bio sketches, a summary of the intended use of funds, like the equivalent to the narrative of a NIH application, requesting that you not exceed 20 lines. This could be a separate page. The total proposal, we have put a 3-page limit to the proposal, which does not include this summary. Seed funding proposal itself, as I mentioned, cannot exceed 3 pages, not including references, and we won't accept appendices. We'd like to know your objectives, again, your intended use of the funds, as well as justification of the funds, your timeline, and then milestones. More about the format. So this is just typical NIH font and format specifications. I won't go through all of these. What about the review criteria? It's not unlike regular NIH grant reviews. We will judge them based on responsiveness. Does the application clearly address regulatory or logistical barriers? That is, are they not hypothesis driven or non-research enabled? Or I should say, will overcoming these logistical and regulatory barriers help you lead to hypothesis driven research? The significance, will completion of the proposed activity position the team for competitive NIH funding? That is the hope for the seed funding, is that'll help you land NIH funding, R01s, for example. Investigators and environment, are the PI and the personnel suitable to complete these activities? Do they have appropriate experience and training? Do you have appropriate resources, institutional support to complete the proposed activities? The approach, is the overall strategy and operational plan appropriate for the proposed activities? Have you addressed any potential problems, alternative strategies, and benchmarks for success? So this is very typical of a NIH application. And then finally, feasibility, do you have an appropriate budget? Can you complete your activities within that $50K total cost? Can you complete the study within your proposed timeline? Have you justified your budget reasonably to the proposed activities? Is the activities achievable within 1 year? We do expect some reporting and deliverables. So we would like 2 reports, one halfway through your proposed timeline, where you'll tell us about the progress on your milestones or your tasks throughout the timeline, any challenges or barriers that you've encountered. And we ask that not to exceed 2 pages for your reports, each of your reports. And another expectation is that we expect the awardees to report your outcomes to our annual meeting of the center investigators. So summary of important findings. Again, I've said this probably 5 times, that these funds are not intended for research-driven or hypothesis-driven research. Make sure that your intended use of funds align with the interests of the NIH funding partners. Again, the awards are not to exceed $50,000 total cost, 1 year project period. Letter of intent due at the end of this month, application due on December 8th. We will review the applications in early 2026. We expect to make the awards sometime in March 2026. And I would like to also point out, yes, so any questions, I'll open that up in a minute. So all of this information you can find at our website, r3cr.org, and there is a tab there to go to the funding opportunities announcement that does give all of those details about the interests of the NIH funding partners, the application details, how to send it. There's a button to submit it to r3cr.org. With that, I think I'll stop and see if anybody has any questions. We will post these slides, and we will be posting a recording of this webinar. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. I'm not seeing anything. This must be crystal clear to everybody.
I see a hand raised.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Question.
Hello, thank you. Quick question. Could you talk about small businesses and private labs in relation to this application? I saw small businesses listed. I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
I'm sorry, I saw the physical hand up, Dr. Hussein, so Dr. Marku. So you're asking if small businesses can apply?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so, yes. Yeah, so along as well as if you have an intention to apply for additional funding, NIH or otherwise, as long as you can show that, certainly you can apply. Dr. Hussein. I think you're on mute. No, I think you're Fred. There you go.
So I'm Sunny Hussain, and I want to thank you, R3CR, for taking the initiative. And I'm glad you got the funding. We were worried about the government spending cut, federal cut. Where you may not get the funding, but the funding all came through, right?
Yes.
So, so, so I have a question. Is there any prescribing physician, like any physician who prescribes medical marijuana to patients present in this forum? Um, on participating, or may I know, or no?
Are part of the center?
In this meeting, today's
Oh,
team.
on our panel? No,
Okay, so
no.
so this is an area which is navigating fast, evolving, and we need some administrative decision from United States government. Definitely, we are all waiting for it, and some of the IND you talked about for FDA probably are not relevant at this point because still it's a work in progress. But say I have about 60,000 patients I prescribe over telemedicine. And in state of Louisiana, we have 13 indications from glaucoma to joint pain to PTSD, depression, and opiate abuse, drug abuse. And it's fascinating anecdotal experience we have. But in order to put it in a scientifically accepted data, um, I have been long thinking about developing a study tool to do a randomized placebo-controlled trial. I talked to some of the leadership of R3CR, and I was told that this is be one, although this is a small budget for this, but to develop a study protocol, it should be sufficient. Is this something I should apply before I put my resources and time? I mean, it's a it takes a lot of work to do this, but I have a feeling it is going to be relevant. Is it right or wrong? May I ask anybody who uh, is overseeing the grant process that to develop a study tool, clinical study tool, not hypothesis driven, to evaluate the efficacy and safety of medical marijuana, just to design the study protocol, which means the sample size, statistical method, how to note or keep a tab on the adverse events, and eventually an outcome. Is if we design a study tool, will it be funded by this project? That's my question.
I want to say yes. I want to say yes. So if this is helping you gather information,
Correct. It's a tool. It's a study tool.
yeah, I mean that was a tool listed that came from one of our NIH funding partners that she put that in there, that survey, that tool. I want to say
Correct.
yes.
I talked to Mahmoud El Hossi, and he has been
Okay.
behind the scene,
Okay.
been a champion. He has been helping me kind of, but he was not 100% sure because it's a multi-center group. You also have in Ole Miss, Mississippi, then you have in Washington. I was not clear about the whole infrastructure or decision-making process, but thank you for saying that. And I do have another question at the end, but I would let other people um, carry on with their question first. But maybe at the end, I have one more question.
Okay, sure. Okay, I'm seeing Joe Casey. Question from you?
Yes, thank you very much for organizing and putting this together. And actually, my question kind of piggybacks on Sonny's question, which was what we're developing is we're a startup. And what we've developed is we do cannabis data science. And what we've developed is a set of proprietary metrics that allow a deeper understanding and classification from a terpene standpoint. And we're in the midst of building this platform out, which will also have a consumer facing element to it, which will contain survey elements, right? Because kind of one of the big issues that we're having in cannabis is that there's no way to classify products outside of, you know, the indica sativa hybrid classification system, and also THC percentage, which, you know, it doesn't really tell us anything about the product. Similar to what the previous individual was saying, is we're building a tool, and we most likely will not look to further raise or create studies for NIH. What we're looking to do is build a tool that other individuals can use to help promote cannabis research and the associated surveys. Is that something that you would consider funding?
I'm leaning towards no. It sounds to me like that's an actual project. So if you're planning to develop this platform public facing, I'm hearing that this is a project. I'm seeing Don nod his head. You're in agreement with me?
Yeah, yes, I agree. Now, though we do, you know, encourage people to submit a proposal, regardless of our opinion here today, because we might be wrong. But yes, that is not really the intention that has been directed for us to seek by our funding agencies.
So and I'll throw in there, unfortunately, you know, our NIH partners could not join us today, right? So we're kind of, we don't have definitive answers for you. But
Understood.
We can consult with our other PIs as well and see what they think.
Is there a reason they couldn't join?
I think a couple of them are on vacation.
I understood. And conflicts, yeah, they have conflicts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, remember, you know, a lot of a consideration here is going to be how you present your proposal, because you know, carefully look at the guidelines, and if you can meet those guidelines, please do send a proposal. And whether that is actually funded or not, we don't have the final say so of that. You know, we're going to be involved with the review, and it'll be up to our funding agencies to make that decision. But we encourage you to submit a proposal. But what Joe is proposing, I think, of actually doing some work using the seed funding to actually do that work would not, I don't think, meet the criteria.
Okay, thanks very much. And we're also working with an academic institution out here to help kind of put this into practice. So it might be best if we partner with the academic institution and then submit the seed request through the academic institution.
Perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if that institution is going to be submitting a grant proposal to NIH in the future.
Understood. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, Richard Gooden, you have a question.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, for us, good afternoon. Good morning still for you. Question about intellectual property generated through this. My project seeks to create a decision support tool that could be leveraged within a electronic health record system that would provide clinicians with recommendations on prescribing. At the conclusion, like if I were funded, would NIH own that tool since with the seed funding that they provided?
Oh boy. That's above my pay grade. I would think that you would have to work with your institution. I would think, yeah, I don't want to go out on a limb and
No, I
answer.
don't. I know NIH traditionally, when funding larger projects, excuse me, will have would have IP ownership. But since this was labeled as seed funding, I was thinking that maybe something like that would be waived in hopes of getting more people involved and engaged in these types of opportunities.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Mhm.
But
But,
I'm a little concerned about what your proposed project, though, is you want to develop a decision support to a clinical decision support tool, which kind of like Joe's project, it sounds like it's an actual project. So I'm not sure that would meet the guidelines of this funding opportunity announcement.
Tell me why, just so I can understand. It's not a for-profit. I'm actually at a university.
Right. So it's because we've been involved in other grants where there's like a bioinformatics core, for example, where they actually propose like the research activities or projects. I'm calling this a project. So you have a deliverable at the end. You want this clinical decision support tool. That's a project in my mind, not necessarily seed funding, not a survey tool or some kind of a tool, information gathering tool to get you where you need to be.
Gotcha. Okay, so you are looking more at formative research, like you're looking at something like a step before that.
Yeah, and we don't want to use the word research because remember we had to reword this RFA so many times. Now wait a minute, we're not doing research. It's some barrier that help you overcome to get you to so that you can conduct your research. And what you want in the end of your project is a tool, this decision support tool, which is a major deliverable. That's a great idea. But if you need something before that, and
Yeah,
can
there may be some things
justify
I may need to rethink that then. Obviously, I think this is a great opportunity.
Okay.
And there are some things I will potentially need before that. So I may just need to think about what those things are and potentially pull those pieces out and really focus on that. So this is helpful. This conversation has been helpful.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Nandu, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that some of the guidance we provided in the larger announcement is inclusive of considerations such as these intellectual property also. So maybe reading closely those announcements might give some information. Besides, I think any of the attendees could send a question through our email, and we would be happy to consult our partners and get some response.
Yeah, so here's the email right here, info@r3cr.org. Any more questions?
I do have one other question. Is this the only webinar component that you guys will be hosting, or will there be additional ones?
For this year. So
Okay.
next year we'll do the same thing. So this is new for us, right? So you're kind of the guinea pigs here. You're the seed funders for our seed funding, for example. So we'll have another webinar probably around another year from now.
So is there an email address or outlet where we would be able to share? Like if we, again, this conversation has now had me redefine what I would potentially propose. Would I be able to message someone to see whether this is a path I can go down?
Yeah, so it's right here on the last slide.
Got you. Okay, I have that. I have it then.
Yeah, someone will get back to you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tiana McMahon, you have a question.
Hi there. Thank you for hosting this webinar. It's been very informative so far. There was a data science question asked earlier. So would developing a data science infrastructure with the idea of seeking future research funding from NIH, would that be a proposal that falls within the domain of this center?
So if I'm understanding could you repeat the first part of that, please? Are you developing a database?
Yeah, so developing a data science approach or the data science infrastructure to potentially collect large amounts of data on social media, for example, but that current infrastructure is not set up yet. So would developing that process, that infrastructure be
I see.
of interest to the center? So it's kind of that pre-step to actually conducting the research. We're not able to do the research yet, collect data associated with a project, but it's developing the system to be able to do that in the future when seeking future funding.
I'm leaning towards yes on that. Dawn's agreeing with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sunny, it looks like you have another question.
So this is a question which it is more like a credibility tool. So at this point, when the states are individually managing the medical marijuana indication, governance, and the overall compliance, there are some of us at the physician level, we are thinking about a credibility tool, like American Board of Medical Marijuana. Now, this is going to be an organization tool which has to be certified by American Board of Medical Specialties. It's a long, tedious process, and it may need some not defined as yet. What will it need at the federal level?
So you're fading in and out. I'm only getting like every other word.
My microphone or something.
Something.
Okay, my apologies. Try this.
It's like you might be signed in twice.
Okay. Somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
You sounded fine the first round of questions.
Can you sign me out for one? Can you kick me out for this?
Can I sign you out?
I'm not sure if I sign out or be kicked out or.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I muted one of you.
Okay.
And it sounds better now.
Wonderful. So the group of physicians, we are thinking about a credibility tool in terms of marijuana government. Something like American Board of Medical Marijuana will be under certification by American Board of Medical Specialties, and so it's at a very early stage, and the application process, and then step by step, we would probably need to work with something like R3CR for some time to fully develop it. Is this something as a second application we can file?
So if I'm understanding, so you're wanting to develop a specialty American Board of Medical Marijuana, you said?
It'll be a non-profit.
Develop that. And
work with, that would be more on the clinical side.
Uh-huh.
And if we work with R3CR and other government entities to help guide the physicians,
I see.
what is right, what is wrong, safety, efficacy. So one of the things, one example will be, don't prescribe medical marijuana for pregnant women. At this point, there's no authority.
I see.
Nobody saying these things. The state are micromanaging it without any reference, source, or any viable research. So this is a tool we wanted to create with the help of this grant. Is this something I can do?
Something crazy is going on with your microphone again.
I may log out or log in. Not
So
much time.
another option is you can always contact us at that email. And if you do that, then I will make sure that you get the audience that you're looking for, regardless of whatever question you might have.
I think Dr. Stanford,
Not hearing anything.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all now. So what I was hearing, I think it might be outside of the scope of this seed funding announcement. But I also like the idea you have. I think, like Dina says, I think it's just a matter of pointing in you to the right people to continue on this idea. But I don't think it's within the scope of this announcement.
I agree
Got it.
completely.
Okay, it looks like Richard, you had another question?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay, I
thanks.
guess that's left over. Okay.
Okay.
Tiana, you have another question?
I do, thank you. Earlier in the call, you mentioned that regardless of the number of awards, the awardees would be receiving 50K. Is there a cap of awards awarded or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be 8 per year,
Okay.
beginning in year 2.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sunny, another question.
So can you hear me now
Yes.
without echo? Okay,
Yes.
so American Board of Medical Marijuana, it is not relevant. It's kind of out of the domain, right? It looks like it.
I think so, yes.
Okay, got it. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it's a great idea. It's just, I think we need to put you in contact with the appropriate people to continue on that path.
Okay, who would that be?
Yeah, I would think our funding partner representatives. That's who I would go to. That's Patrick Still, but we can't even communicate with them right now due to the shutdown.
Something like this of scope magnitude, I think it will be helpful if R3CR becomes a active partner with this, because it is a credible organization. It is evolving, and I think if they are also, if R3CR partner with our group, we are a nonprofit, then I think we can probably make some little step in the right direction. But something, if you're bored, if you could discuss it,
Yes.
they would, even by the name, they would understand what we are talking about.
Sure.
Say, if now President Trump wants to know one answer, is medical marijuana safe for me? If I want to take it and go to Israel, Gaza to deal, can I take it for relaxation? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
There's no ethical standard. We don't have any safety efficacy data, and there's no institution to tell. It's all fragmented. But I think getting the NIH funding put R3CR in a very credible position. And I think if you help us, we can try to do this American Board of Medical Marijuana. Just think about it and let us know.
Yeah.
We
Well,
would love to do that. Yeah. If you want to just send us an
Yes.
email, that would be great. Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, Mahmoud El Hosi, I talked to him. He initially wasn't very excited about it, but I think I'm talking to him. Sometimes he doesn't answer, but I think he may be on board. We need to get more people on board on this
Yes,
who have the right mind, you know. And
I understand you.
and
Yeah, I get. I'm
yes, ma'am.
understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's another, and I know we're going off track here, but I don't know if you know. Are you part of the ACRC, American Cannabis?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
And you're based where? Louisiana?
I'm in Louisiana, Shreveport. Yes.
Okay, because we know of a practicing physician there at Oregon Health Science University who's kind of heading this ACRC, and he's a practicing clinician. He's another person I'm thinking about that we could connect you with.
I think more people will be better, but it should come under some credible leadership. Like I think at this point, I can only think about R3CR. I think if you could create another committee that will work towards an American Board of Medical Marijuana, I mean, it should be a mixed physician, non-physician, and researchers. I think it will be good for United States and the world.
I agree. I'd like to get the meeting back on track, please. Talking about the seed funding. Please send us an email. We'd be super happy to get you in contact with all these people that we've mentioned.
Yes.
Okay, looks like another question from Dr. Marcoux. No? Okay.
Oops, sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I wanted to follow up to make sure the facility I'm considering applying with would still be eligible. So I received or won a license to operate a marijuana testing facility, a state license, and that facility is currently being designed and going to be built out. We have plans to apply for a DEA license to open up other opportunities, like to provide services to law enforcement and participate in other, nationwide programs. If the facility is basically part of the cannabis industry because it's a state licensed cannabis lab, but it does other things, would that in any way kind of make it ineligible or less competitive? Do you understand what I'm asking?
So if I may,
Sure.
please. So is there a research component for your testing lab?
Yeah, absolutely. We're already involved in some not free research we're doing, but yeah, we have aims to do research on products, absolutely. But more I'd say in a very simple stance, like what are the most common contaminants in the illicit supply that's being captured by state troopers and stuff like that.
Right. So that would be very good if you wanted to use seed funding to develop some infrastructure and help get your DEA registration and so forth in order to apply for some NIH grants to do some research at your laboratory. That would, I think, be a good proposal.
Thank you. So yeah, just want to, so it does sound like some of that public health and safety analyzing products would be conducive to the NIH in the future. Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Mary, I would also like to take a stab at this question. My name is Nandu Sharma. I'm the PI for the Research Standards Score. And Jahan, the question is about cannabis quality standards, and we do want to provide resources to help address the barriers and challenges related to quality standards. So if you could connect your objectives in the context of the barriers and challenges that the research community is facing, that would be the right way for us to assess this proposal.
Great. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you, Nanda.
Thank you.
Lori Dodson, looks like you have a question.
Hey guys, thanks. Just quickly wanted to confirm, you said you will share the slides and the webinar after this?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes. And also I'll repeat that all of this information and more than you ever want to know is also located at our website, r3cr.org, under the tab Funding Opportunity Announcement. Even more details are in there. NIH Speak. You want to see all of that? I think we got a decent turnout today. It's good. So if I can throw it out there, how did you all hear about this webinar? Got Rebecca, I know, wanting to know.
From the website.
Okay.
LinkedIn, saw a post on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I think Nanda shared it.
Great.
Yeah, shared by a colleague.
Great.
Beautiful.
Well, we hope you either rethink your ideas or proceed with your, sounds like we got some really great ideas already. We hope you proceed with your letter of support, and we look forward to seeing your proposals.
Letter of intent, not letter of support, right?
Sorry, letter of intent. Yeah.
Okay, just want to make
Yep,
sure.
yep. Well, that's due the end of this month on Halloween.
Okay.
So I'm all for ending meetings early unless there's any lingering questions. Scrolling through the screens here, I'm not seeing any hands up. I will adjourn our meeting. Thank you so much for joining, and please do send us emails through info@r3cr.org if you have any other questions. I'll say it again, we will post the webinar recording and the slides. And we look forward to seeing your proposals.